We're going to do a kind of deep flexor release, our psoas release, which can be really nice for lower backs, helping them ease. The diaphragm can relax, can help us kind of de-stress a little bit. And you can do it anywhere at home, lying on the floor. You can have the telly on if you want, if you're watching something, but just kind of let it fade into the background a bit. You need a cushion, that's it. Cool. So come and lie on your back with a cushion beside you. Knees bent, and just give yourself a moment to be here. Maybe a good breath in and a good breath out. And then maybe just take the arms a little bit to the side, the feet a wee bit wider than the hips, and take a wee sway with the knees. Okay, so we're not going big legs side to side, we're just kind of taking a bit of a sway. You might feel the back of the pelvis kind of massage off onto the floor. There might be a bit at the back of the ribs that's getting a bit of massage, but we're not pushing it down trying to massage it. We're just kind of feeling that connection with the floor. Feet come back in a bit, and then you're going to take the cushion and pop it underneath your hips. Okay, settle in. Okay, so we've lifted the hips a little bit more than the diaphragm, which can be a nice way to let the diaphragm and the breathing release a bit. So if we tend to hold the breath, if we know we're stressed, we hold our breath. This can be a nice way of actually letting the diaphragm do what it does without us having to really focus in on it, if that doesn't feel doable for you. Then you're going to take the right leg and you're going to lengthen it. Okay. Now if it feels like this happened, you might need to nudge that cushion just a little bit lower to let yourself settle back. Then you're going to take the right arm up overhead. Somewhere where it feels like you can let that whole arm settle. So it might be a bit wider, elbow might be bent. And we're going to stay here. Okay. So we're going to let gravity do some work for us. Letting ourselves weight onto the cushion. The back of the body settle towards the floor. And it feels for me often that I let the front of the body settle onto the back of the body. Okay, so just kind of waiting, giving to gravity a wee bit. Now our psoas muscle is a really deep hip flexor. It goes from the inside thigh on the right leg up to the right side of the spine and the lower back. Muscularly links the top and bottom of our body, and it's what kind of folds us. It's a really deep instinctual flexor. So when we get stressed, when we get frightened, when we get overwhelmed, we tend to contract and fold in. Okay. And it's perfectly fine for it to do that, but when we get chronically stressed, overwhelmed, then it can stay in that, and it can essentially kind of contract into a freeze. And what we don't want to do with that is yank it out, demand that it lengthens, because it's so emotional, that muscle as well. We want to give it some time, let it know there's a safety, and just let it feel some safety to help it release. So often when we feel a tightness, we can rush to stretch it out, and this is really quite the opposite. Just give it time. You might take the odd longer out breath. Let it stay there. We're just going to give it a few more breaths. And then slowly, we're going to bend that right leg, bring the foot back to the floor, and we're going to bring the right arm in. Okay, and then stay for a moment with both knees bent, feet on the floor, hips on the cushion. And don't worry if you feel a little lopsided, I do after doing that. And then take your time, slide the left leg out, go slowly, go gently, give it time, and to feel that you're still settled on the cushion. Again, if it feels like the ribs want to arch up or the lower back feels a bit compressed, you might wiggle the cushion. And then the left arm's going to go up, either opening out to the side. There might be, if I show you on the right, it might be bent or straight or kind of out to the side. But we're going to bring it up and then find somewhere where the shoulder can settle and the back of the arm and the hands. And if it can't, you can always put a wee cushion underneath it or a wee layer of something. And we're going to settle here for a bit. Okay. Now, one side feels different from the other. That's perfectly normal. My left here feels quite different from my right. Again, we're just going to wait. Okay. And we might take the odd long sigh breath out. Again, can we let the back of the body settle with gravity? The front of the body settle onto it. You might feel a bit of stretch here. You might not. What you might feel is more a kind of softening or releasing. And if you don't, that's fine too. If we are really kind of chronically stressed there, chronically tightened in that muscle, then it needs some time to get used to being given some care, I suppose, is a good way to put it. So we don't want to demand that it does anything, particularly with our really deep muscles. So our deep muscles, our core muscle, if you want to call it, they're really clever. They know what they're doing far better than this knows what it's doing. So we actually want to give them time. So when our thinking brain takes over, what we do is we tend to miss into the depth and we come more to our superficial muscles. And we miss all that lovely stuff inside that we can start to stimulate. So just give it time. What it kind of feels like for me when things release is a kind of, I don't know, it feels like it kind of drops for me. It might feel completely different for you, but I feel a different sensation. Sometimes it feels like things kind of move a little bit. My tummy can gurgle as well. It's a sign you're moving into rest digest. The best way I can describe it sounds a bit cheesy, but it feels like there's a sense of life in here. It starts to become its own wee engine room, gurgling, shifting, moving. I can feel more of my breath moving around here. It'll feel how it feels for you. More notice it than try and force it to do something or be how you think it should be. Some people have said they really felt like the back of their ribs just let go, kind of found the floor, the curve in their back. It maybe felt quite tight, softened a little bit. We'll take just another couple of breaths here. And then again, go slowly. You're going to bend that left knee, pop the foot on the floor, bring the left arm down, give yourself time to be here. You might notice how it is. I feel a bit more balanced. And then lifting the hips, take the cushion away. And once again, we're going to just be here. It'll probably feel really weird coming back to the floor. Give yourself time to be there. It might feel quite different. It feels quite different for me being here. And then feel, maybe you want to come back to that bit of sway. Arms out. I know I want to kind of let my arms move after being overhead there. So a bit of movement. And then you might come to your side, roll to your side, and come and sit up. And then from there, we just give everything a wee bit of a shake. Notice how you feel. Okay. So Psoas release anytime you choose when you feel a bit of settle, a bit calm. Okay. Hope you enjoyed.